So there was a protester at one of Mike Bloomberg's events, and they grabbed the microphone and they shout, "This is a plutocracy. It's not a democracy. It's a plutocracy." And then they just stood at the podium, and then they tried to usher her out, but they didn't know what to do. But she was right. This is a plutocracy. The way that Bloomberg is entering in this race, Trevor Noah made a good comparison about how Michael Bloomberg now has all the scrutiny. He didn't do anything wrong, but he has to defend his record here and there. Well, now he knows what stop and frisk actually feels like. So he's a racist piece of shit. Michael Bloomberg is such a racist piece of shit. Trevor Noah also had said that, he was right about how he gets to feel what, stop and frisk feels like. He didn't do nothing, but now, he's got to defend himself. But Trevor Noah seemed to be taken aback that whites have problems with the police. He just didn't seem like that didn't comprehend, that didn't compute with him. Of course they do. The biggest difference, I think, is that when a white person is gunned down by the police, nobody gives a shit, whereas there's outrage, at least in the black community, white community too. There's more solidarity in the black community when a black person gets gunned down. But it's, oppression Olympics. Whites are victims of the police, too. That should give us common cause. Let's stop police brutality, right? You're just an authoritarian fascist piece of shit. Anything an authoritarian fascist pieces of shit does, you think that's totally right and fair and proper? So Bloomberg is, he's not thoughtful like this. He said some of the most racist shit ever. Now, he had said that cops only arrest white people, never, people of color. It goes both ways, but he didn't say that. His entire, thing was that cops only arrest white people, never the people of color. He said that black neighborhoods are where all the crime comes from. What about white-collar crime? I'm sure that's not. And then, so he also said he could Xerox the main suspect for a murder suspect, black male, young adult. You could Xerox that and just, that's who the murder suspect is. Black male, young adult. My God, talk about profiling. Michael Bloomberg is one of the biggest profiler ever in the world. He's saying that only, all the crime. You can't say it for all statement, with that. All you got to do is point out one country. So if I could point out a crime, a white person, committing a crime, then that means not all crime is coming from the black neighborhood. So it's rhetoric, but it's illogical. Bloomberg also has sexual harassment lawsuits he settled and had his victims sign this, non-disclosure agreements. But really, I want to focus on those words and what those comments on that tape had said. So he's saying that all the crimes happen in black communities. No, all the cops are arresting whites, none of the blacks. And then he did stop and frisk, and he's against the Second Amendment, doesn't think anybody should have a gun on them at all. So he's against the people and empowerment of the people. I don't see how anybody can support Bloomberg at all. He's not showing that, he's not saying that white people, he's not pointing out that he's saying white people are getting arrested, but never people of color. So he's, ignoring half of the population with, that sweeping. I think that even if there is high crime areas in black neighborhoods, those are also the people that are victims of the crimes, too. So, yeah, since white and black are both victims of the police, we have common cause. We have common cause there. So he's just, the stop and frisk thing was racist as shit. He's throwing all these black people up against the wall to find out if they got a gun in their pocket. He is just a racist piece of shit. He's got all these sexual harassment lawsuits, too. Let's see. What else? I don't see how anybody can support Bloomberg at this point. My God, have some, discernment, question authority. He's a brand new face. Most people in the U.S. don't even know him. He's an ex-New York City mayor. So America just met Bloomberg, and now he's their savior? Jesus fucking Christ. So crazy that, everybody has, Cory Booker, Andrew Yang, and Kamala Harris, Michael Bennett. They all quit way before Super Tuesday, and Michael Bloomberg is skipping South Carolina, Nevada, Iowa, and New Hampshire, skipping all four of those races. And yet people are still like, you know what, he's got a chance. So he won't be heading into Super Tuesday with any momentum. He'll have to have a perfect debate night. If he walks away from that debate without a good debate night, if he wants a sliver of hell's, a sliver in hell's chance of winning, he's going to have to go to the debate, have a good debate, Wednesday. If he's bad, then say goodnight to the plutocrat. Say goodnight to the plutocrat. His Hail Mary pass didn't work. So the main reason for Bloomberg jumping in there is to save himself some money to stop Bernie Sanders. He wants to save himself $5 billion. Michael Bloomberg's wealth tax, even though he has a wealth tax for billionaires, it's going to save him a bunch of money, even saving him more money than Amy Klobuchar's wealth tax. So Michael Bloomberg makes Amy Klobuchar look like a progressive when it comes to the wealth tax. So there's a lot of shit, that's bad about Michael Bloomberg. He's a racist piece of shit, right? He's just fucking racist. And he thinks he can just bully everybody with his money. This is absolutely true. All these mayors are coming out and endorsing him because he had, donated some money to their cities. So that just shows you how beholden to the politicians they are to the damn plutocrats, right? They can't get shit done themselves unless, some rich man comes and gives them money? So he's paying people when it comes to Instagram $150. If you got 1,000 followers on Instagram or more, he'll pay you $150 to say something nice about him. He poaches other staffers off of other campaigns from other, he pays them a high salary, so he's poaching staffers from other campaigns. This is how he wins. He just takes his money and just bullies the shit out of everybody. So ultimately, Michael Bloomberg, let's talk about some of the issues, okay? So he's going to save the billionaire class. He's rushing in there. He's a stop Bernie, right? Anybody but Bernie kind of person. He's saving himself $5 billion. It's a neoliberal demolition derby. They're all going to knock each other out. But eventually, Michael Bloomberg, like the Wizard of Oz, is going to have to come out from behind the curtain, behind his blitzkrieg of TV and internet ads and memes, and show the American people who he actually is. If he doesn't go to the debate, don't expect anything from him. So Michael Bloomberg is a racist piece of shit. He blamed the 2008 crash on minorities. He said that undoing the racist redlining policies is what brought on the 2008 economic crash. So that's fantastic because banks started giving loans out to black people. Mayor Mike Bloomberg wants to sit there and say that that's the reason we had the Great Recession. That's the reason in 2008 there was crash. It wasn't the packaging and the mortgage packages. It wasn't, fraud on Wall Street. It wasn't the Glass-Steagall being repealed. No, none of that. It's because banks started giving loans out to black folks. So Bloomberg makes Joe Biden look progressive on racial politics as fuck. Joe Biden was opposed to federal busing. He was against integration. But he brags that he got to start politics stopping the redlining policies of the racist banks. That's systemic, racism, institutional racism. So he stopped redlining, and Bloomberg says redlining was the problem. He said stopping redlining was the problem. By giving black people loans, that's what caused the crash. So what the fuck? Bloomberg is stupid and racist. He says $10 an hour livable wage for some New York government workers was Soviet communism. God, if we raise minimum wage to $10 an hour, that's Soviet communism. Jesus Christ. So he's terrible when it comes to the Second Amendment. He's a Republican. He's a Republican through and through. Michael Bloomberg spoke at the RNC in 2004. He was a Republican for 10 years, and he's an independent for 10 years. He's not a Democrat. He funded Senate Republicans who gave us Brett Kavanaugh. He funded the Michigan governor's race after the Flint toxic water scandal. So after the toxic water scandal, he's going to fund the Michigan governor. So Michael Bloomberg he sucks. He's a racist piece of shit. He did this dictator move in New York City. He changed the law to run for a third term. That's a major power grab. Evo Morales in Venezuela, is having a problem with the U.S. government because of the same shit. You can't be in office, change the Constitution, and allow yourself to run, for another term. That's cheating. You're a cheater. So that's an authoritarian move right there. So, yeah, he's the final firewall. He's the final firewall against Bernie Sanders. He's a Hail Mary pass for the plutocrat class. He's a Hail Mary pass for the plutocrat class. So Bloomberg sucks. Bloomberg sucks because he's a racist piece of shit. He's not for a livable wage. He might be talking about $15 an hour now, but he was against $10 an hour a couple of years ago for a couple of New York government workers. He's Republican, so that's, people will say, he can't win because he's a socialist. Well, what about a Democrat who's a Republican? Is that okay? That's totally fine. Okay. All right. So he's authoritarian, he's a racist, he doesn't care for working class peoples. How the fuck can anybody support Bloomberg? How in the fuck can anybody support Bloomberg at this point? I have no idea. Michael Bloomberg sucks, so fuck Michael Bloomberg. Vote for Bernie Sanders. Come on, Nevada. Come on, South Carolina. Come on, Alabama, Tennessee. Do something decent once in your godforsaken lives. Do something good for the goddamn country. Fucking Tennessee and Alabama. God, the whole thing is hinged on Tennessee and Alabama. Oh, God. We are fucked.